plateaus. Nobody loves them, especially when it comes to dieting and you having to take away a little bit of food. So how can you prevent a plateau when it comes to fat loss? That's what we're gonna be going over today in our video while we are out exploring Fayette State Park. I'm with the family. I got my dad manning the camera. I got my mother right here. We are enjoying the sunset, but previous to here, we actually checked out Lake Kitchikippi for a little bit too. Lake Kitchikippi is this crazy, what do you call it, Dad? A pond. He calls it a pond. So it's this beautiful spring that is basically like in the center of UP, and it's all spring fed. I think that's how you say it. And there's tons of beautiful fish in there, and they were actually massive. It's like those fish actually decided to go there, call it good, stay the rest of their life there. That's how big they are. We're gonna be exploring Fayette State Park here for the rest of the time and going over a couple of ways that you can prevent reaching a plateau in a fat loss phase. Let's jump into this, everybody, with tip number one. So we're gonna get our way with one of the biggest tips that we mostly all know of how can we break a fat loss plateau. You can reduce your calories a little bit more. That's pretty obvious. If you consume less, you're gonna break a fat loss plateau and you're going to obviously lose weight. But you don't wanna reduce your calories too fast and too often because, again, a fat loss phase is for an extended period of time. So what are some other tips? What are some other ways that we can break a fat loss plateau but not necessarily restrict our calories or take away the food, which keeps us sane? All right, so now that we know the obvious, you can reduce your calorie intake, something else you can do is you can actually change the ratios of the macronutrients that you intake. So another way to keep your calories the same but break a fat loss plateau is by shifting around the macronutrient ratio. So what I mean by that, mostly increasing your protein a little bit and at the same time simultaneously reducing your carbohydrate intake and your fat intake a little bit. So primary focus of protein, that's to preserve your muscle in a fat loss phase. But your carbs and your fats, those are different energy sources too. Yes, we need to still make sure that we have those, we incorporate those, but we can shift the ratio of protein up a little bit, reduce the ratio of carbs and fats just a little bit, because carbs and fats are primarily carbohydrates, a little bit of a faster source of energy or calories, and a little bit of a slower source for fat of energy right there. So we can reduce those a little bit, increase our protein, and you'll notice a slight shift in your body composition. All right, and then our next way that we can break a fat loss plateau is by increasing your steps a little bit. So again, whenever you're walking more, you're burning a little bit more calories. Or you can also do something else, such as HIIT training or a Fit Body Bootcamp session or anything like that, where you are burning extra calories all in general, and you can simply just increase your steps a little bit. It doesn't have to be much, or you can do one extra session in a week or 2 extra sessions in a week of cardio where you're getting your heart rate up a little bit higher, and that is actually another great way to just burn a little bit more extra calories throughout the day and break a plateau. Another simple trick that you can do to prevent fat loss plateau is add some variation to your workouts. This can be with the type of exercises that you're doing, this can be with the duration of your workout in general, or it can also be by changing the total amount of sets or the intensity that you do a certain movement or exercise pattern to. So by you simply making a little change in your exercises, that also allows you to prevent adaptations that your body can create over time to specific movements. So if you can prevent adaptations, you're always going to be challenging your body and providing a new stimulus, keeping it guessing, preventing plateaus. This place is actually quite wild, guys. There's all these old buildings like scattered throughout here. It's like basically a little village here at Fayette State Park, and you actually get the chance. These ones are not restored by any means, but we've actually been walking through a couple other ones, and it's kind of interesting seeing what everyone basically did during this time. I just started reading a lot of the science, so I don't really know too much about what exactly went on in Fayette State Park, but I mean, the view that they have, Lake Michigan right there. These guys were living pretty large here.
This guy looked like somebody that you wouldn't want to scrap with.
This guy, he's seen things.
Yeah.
He's seen things before, just like you.
Oh yeah.
What? I have to admit, look at this dude's cast right here. I mean, that's a pretty good representation of mine, except that part. Yikes. Prioritizing strength training should always be important, whether you're in a caloric deficit or if you're in a caloric surplus. The reasons for each: if you're in a caloric deficit, your strength training to hold on to your muscle mass and prevent the loss of muscle mass when you're in a caloric deficit. When you're in a caloric surplus and you're trying to build muscle at that time, that's also going to help you prevent fat loss plateaus, because you're building up new lean muscle tissue, which is metabolically active. That means that you can consume more calories to maintain your body's overall weight, which also means that it's going to boost your metabolism. So the more muscle mass that you have on your frame, it's going to increase your metabolism. And guess what? When you're in a fat loss phase, increasing your metabolism is also going to help you prevent plateaus along the way. We all know that when Alan sees a view, he's got to go check out this view. Wait until you guys see this. The sun is just beaming, the lake, the stones. Oh, this is sick. Look at this. Wow. Guys, honestly, there's so much stuff here in Michigan that continually always surprises me every single time. Look at this view. You know, I was just talking with my parents earlier today about this too. It's crazy how you live in a specific town for a certain period of time, and sometimes you just gotta get out and keep on exploring your town, because you're always going to have new things that pop up. Take, for example, in Marquette, there are so many biking trails everywhere in Marquette, and just today I found another spot, a whole new spot. And I've been in Marquette now for about 9 years. I found a whole nother spot now where I can park, go take my mountain bike out, hop on the trail literally within 5 minutes of my home. But the only way that I will ever find that is by me simply just getting out and doing it, doing the thing. Get outside and move. And that's why it's so important, can't say enough, for everybody to just block off a little bit of time in their day to just get outside. That's your time to decompress from the busy work life. Get outside, explore, get some fresh air. It's gonna feel so good for you. And not only that too, but you're going to be able to experience new things. So again, it's so important that you find a hobby that you like, or if you don't quite know what that might be, try some different hobbies. For me, in the wintertime, I like my snowboarding. My snowboarding is what gets me outside. It gets my mind off of literally everything, because I'm focusing not on dying the entire time basically. But it's the same thing with mountain biking in the summertime. I mountain bike in the summertime because not only does it get my mind off of literally everything, but I also get some fresh air. It gets scalp moving, and it makes me burn some extra calories every single day. So really I can just eat more food, which who doesn't like that? I won't rant too much, guys, but get outside, find the hobbies that you love, stick with those hobbies. You'll learn new things, you'll see new things, and if you don't know what those hobbies are, try and find them. Try something. If you don't like it, then dump it. You don't have to do it again. Try snowshoeing. If you don't like snowshoeing, hey, guess what? Sell them, give them to someone else. Maybe they'll like it, and guess what? You can always find something else. But the thing is you get up and you try it. So with all that being said, this leads me to my last big tip on how to prevent a fat loss plateau. Manage your stress levels, or find the techniques that's gonna help you do so. Get outside, do some of your favorite hobbies that just gets your mind off the whole world for a little bit, get your mind off the actual fat loss diet. Do that for a little bit, manage your stress levels that way. Also, when you're getting outside, you're doing those hobbies, you're gonna make yourself sleepy. And guess what? When you're sleepy, you're gonna go to bed at a good time. And when you go to bed at a good time, you're gonna get a full night's sleep. And guess what? When you get a full night's sleep, you're going to reduce the amount of cortisol in your system, which basically is going to help you not be stressed out on a regular basis. It's gonna reduce that hormone so that you're not feeling stressed out. And then that can also hinder your fat loss progress, which you don't want. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video today. Hopefully you learned something today. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. And also, if you're new here to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'm gonna be releasing videos on a consistent basis, and you're not gonna wanna miss them, especially if you're in a fat loss phase or if you're trying to build some muscle. And if you missed that last video, check it out right here. Catch you guys then.